Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is Lau with Kenshin Crafts. Today in this video I am going to be sharing my whole Leonardo collection with you guys. So I just came back from the San Francisco Pen Show at the end of August by volunteering with Leonardo, and what better way to celebrate such an amazing time with sharing my whole Leonardo collection with you guys. So at the end of the video I will also have a clip comparing all of the Leonardo nib sizes that I have, so that you guys have kind of a reference for the nib sizes and how they write. So you can definitely check that out by using the timestamps, or just watch the whole video and then watch that at the end as well. And then in my Leonardo collection portion of the video, I will be sharing all the pens with you, and then also just kind of having a little fun thing of ranking my top 3 and then just putting them all in order of my favorites. Think about which one you think might be my favorite, or if you have your own Leonardos that is also in my collection, put it down in the comments too. I love reading your comments, so whatever you guys have to say about Leonardo, just put them down in the comments. I would love to have that conversation with you guys. Oh, and if you guys love this kind of video, be sure to leave me a like and subscribe to my channel so you can see more videos like this in the future. All right, without further ado, let's take a look at the lovely Leonardo pens. Okay, well, if you've taken your guess already, now you can see I have 10 Leonardo pens here, and then 8 in my new Say Pens pen tray over here. So that's 8 plus 10, 18 total. Let me know in the comments if you got that right. A few of these I have not shared with you. Others you have seen. Let's go over them. I am going to start off with this tray here. These are all my Leonardo Momento Zero plus a Radius pen. So we'll get to these beauties in a little bit. So this one is the Radius Settimo, and it has lovely, beautiful chatoyant blue parts as well as opaque white parts. This specific resin has only been done by Leonardo. And so I believe that when Radius was revived by Leonardo, they created this Radius Settimo with the blue and white resin that they have rights to. I have not seen this resin done in any other company. I think the only one that looks similar to this is the Canalea company, which is a business here in the United States. It's very similar, but it's not exactly the same. So yeah, I think this was only done by Leonardo. Again, this is a Radius pen that I won from the giveaway on Instagram, and I am just extremely happy with this because it was on my wish list for so long. Well, not that long, but like the Momento Zero Grande was on my wish list, and so now that I have this, I am pretty happy with it. I do not need to get the Momento Zero Grande because the chatoyant and the resin is basically the same. So I will say that while the quality is still, relatively the same on a Settimo and the Momento Zeros, the finish of this pen isn't quite as nice. The cap here you can see is kind of sharp. It's not done very smooth and cleanly like the Momento Zeros. It is, it's not going to cut you, but it is a little sharp. And then it does have these interesting cap band ring here, made with diamonds. And then I got a fine nib, and this is a number 6 Yovo, and it says there, Radius Superior 1934. Now, I was expecting this fine to write pretty fine, but it does not write finely. It writes like a medium. So I will probably have this grounded, and I'm okay with that because it will turn into a very interesting grind. The next pen is my Leonardo Momento Zero Hermes. This is an endlesspens exclusive back in February. Hermes is the messenger of the gods, so he is freely able to traverse between the gods' world as well as the human world, the symbol of freedom and peace. And so I really enjoy that aspect of this pen. I love this golden red with the the yellow here. It's really nice, and I thought that this one would have been a nice Year of the Dragon pen because it's of these two colors. I did get this in an elastic fine. Elastic fine from Leonardo's steel nibs are my favorite because they do write like a medium, but I expect that much, and sometimes they can write a little thinner based on the ink that you put in there, and so I really like it. The elastic steel nibs don't typically give you like really good line variations. You can get it if you push these steel nibs, but I'll show that to you at the end of the video. Next up is the Leonardo Momento Zero. This is Hades. I really like this one. You can see it's almost like some kind of a brownish yellow tone, and then it also is mixed with black. And so there's these three were made around the same time at endlesspens, and they are a collaboration between Mackenzie Penworks and endlesspens, as well as Micah Fine. So she is the one that created these three pens. This one specifically is made by Micah's partner. This one is Hades, the god of the underworld, and I think it's such a beautiful, handsome pen. And it's an understated beauty because of its colors, and I like that. So this one is a very safe to use pen in an office, I would think. Like it looks like an office pen to me, but a very colorful, beautiful one. The rest of these are, you can obviously tell that they're very bright and colorful. They would not go into an office setting, but it doesn't matter. I don't have a specific office. My room is my office. Again, this is an elastic extra fine, which I really wanted to get this one for black ink. However, the elastic extra fine still is a little bit broad for an extra fine. It was still kind of hard for me to use this in my weeks, Hobonichi weeks, which have really tiny grids. And I like that this one has a black or ruthenium trim and nib, so it is coated, which means that if I do get this grounded, it will show the steel, the silver parts. But I am fine with this elastic extra fine. Like it's fine enough for daily writing, but just not for like really small planners. All right, and then this third one is Persephone, the favorite among the three that were created at endlesspens in February. So this one, I had initially got one that I did not like, and then I discussed with endlesspens over multiple emails, and I finally got one that I was very happy with. I love the variation in this pen. Persephone was created from an updated pomegranate resin that Micah Fines created. And so she created a pomegranate pen back in October or November of 2023, and then she revised it into this one, which then she made into a Leonardo, which I was really happy with because I do love this pink, deep pink and purple areas here, and contrasted by this yellow gold. It's absolutely magnificent. This pen, I love writing with it so much, and I pair a lot of beautiful pink inks in here, dusty pinks, vibrant pinks, not pinks like Kosumosu. Like that one is a little bit on the like light and bright side. I like pinks that are a bit darker or dusty. So you have seen me put Bungabox Mother. Those of you that saw me at the San Francisco Pen Show, I also put a lovely dusty pink ink in here, which I will share with you guys in my currently inked video. This is also an elastic fine because, again, elastic fine just seems to be my favorite overall writing size. This next one is called Rangoli. This is the Pen Boutique exclusive Just look at that gorgeous rainbow gradient. It's not a perfect. Oh wow, this actually here is really pretty in the camera. I don't typically like this area as much because it's not like a perfect gradient, but it's gorgeous, like just by itself. But I think that the winning piece of this art is this bright, beautiful, fiery yellow orange on the cap, as well as the lovely purple swirl that just swoops right at the end here. Yeah, every primary manipulation for now. This one is called Rangoli. It uses the Jonathan Brooks primary manipulation for resin, and a lot of times people get a PM4 that looks very pastel because the colors that mix together in that specific pen are either opposite colors or like the colors don't mix well together. Here, the yellow, oranges, and reds work really, they flow really well, contrasted by the purple. Like it works just fine. It doesn't make it look pastel, but this part here, the blue to turquoises tend to be a little bit more pastel if you have it next to, say, maybe a red or even an orange yellow. So like this area is pastel. Over here it looks pastel. So I think it's the blue. If you have a lot of blues that doesn't have a color that works well with blue in a mix like this part here is perfect. Blue, purple, pinks, they work really well in a PM4 if they're next to each other. So a PM4 is very, very random, but when you look at it very, very closely, isolated areas, it's super gorgeous. But together as a whole, a PM4 may not always look good, but I'm very happy with mine. So this one was a Pen Boutique exclusive. I think I got number 93 out of 100, and this one came in a grande as well as a regular Momento Zero. This one came with the 3 rings on the cap band. Leonardo does a few different kind of cap band rings. I personally don't like these 3 small rings. Some people don't have a preference and some prefer this one. I don't. I prefer this gorgeous large cap band here. I just think it looks way more classy and luxurious. But that's just me. I do think that it's still nice regardless if it's just got the 3 rings, because these 2 right here are some of my favorites in my collection and they have the 3 rings. This next one is a goldspot exclusive. This is the Foresta Umbra, which is the shadow of the forest. Oh my gosh, this one is absolutely beautiful. I love the green shades. There's multiple green shades in here, but mostly like a tealy green coming through, and it's contrasted by yellow, browns, soft browns, deep browns. Yeah, this pen is gorgeous, and I love resins that are chaotic and very swirly. So this one is very, very up my alley. It is perfect, and I love that little broccoli, or it's supposed to be a tree, but it's also broccoli. The little symbol up there with Leonardo for gold spot. I got number 48. I really, really love this. I did not expect to buy this at first when it came out, because I was like, I don't need another Leonardo. I don't need another Leonardo. And then I saw Fig Boots video, and I was like, okay, I will get it. And I do not regret that decision, because green is my favorite color. I didn't really care too much about browns at the time, but I'm just like, why am I not going to buy this pen? It's got the perfect greens, I suppose, and browns work really well with greens, especially this pen, and I got a winner with this one. I'm so happy. So I know that there's a line of you guys out there waiting to buy this pen for me when I don't want it anymore. But you'll have to keep waiting. I still love this one. And it is another Mackenzie I think this is a Mackenzie blank, and it also has diamonds in there. It is diamond cast, or like diamond dust. Okay. Foresta Umbra, love this one. And then we come to my very, very first Leonardo, and it is still one of my favorite Leonardos. It's really hard to rank all of these. Okay, so do you see that? That deep turquoise right there, and then the light tealy greens over there. This pen is gorgeous. Oh, this is a blank by Taylor Pen Company, and originally it was made for this pen, the Paraiso Maldives, at endlesspens. So this was an exclusive about 2 years ago. Let's see, I got number 75 out of 80. So 80 of these pens were made, but they did do a second run of these pens. And I'm just so happy with this because it is very green in person. You can see that the camera's showing a little bit more blue, but it is a very green pen. This resin is also now used to make the planetary nebula in the Galactica series of the Momento Zero Grande 2.0. But I saw another Momento Zero Grande 2.0, the Planetary Nebula, at Pen Realm in Chicago, and that one was gorgeous. I did not buy it because it was not a price I was willing to pay for a steel nib. I was sad that that one was bought after I came back home, but I am okay with that decision because it reminded me that this one is my first love in this resin, and I will always love using this pen. It's the perfect green that makes me want to pick it up all the time. Definitely go check my pictures on Instagram. It shows the green a lot better. But even the fact that it looks blue with a little bit of green in this camera is still very gorgeous. So it is an elastic fine. That was the only one that was left, I think, of nibs that I would prefer using. And I was very, very surprised by how thick an elastic fine was, but I got used to it, and it just became my favorite nib size. All right, so that's the Paraiso Maldives. Next up is one that is not exclusive. This one is a Leonardo Momento Zero blue, I think it's a blue Aloha, I think. So I haven't used this one as much, but I am still in love with this pen. Like, just look at that gradient. From a deep turquoise to a light sky blue. And then you can see, like, the chatoyancy there. Like, this is a cracked ice design, so it's got some parts that are chatoyan, other parts that are not. That's just how cracked ice designs kind of work. And I don't know, my camera's not showing that really well, but you can see right there, yeah. The light hits it very differently. Yeah, right, yep. I really like it. And it's the only cracked ice design in my Leonardo collection, and I would like to, get some more in this kind of design. If you have one of these too, let me know. I think they're still pretty available. I don't see it as much on the websites, mainly because I don't look for this anymore because I have one. Or maybe I'm not seeing them because sometimes they do get sold out. And I got this in a medium nib, and I love this medium nib. I usually am not into Leonardo mediums, but this is a very interesting medium. The grind on this medium is different, and how this medium writes will not be the same as other mediums. The size of a fountain pen's nib really, really varies on the paper you use, the ink you have, and then each person's perspective of what a medium or a fine is supposed to be like. So when I was at the San Francisco Pen Show, I showed a medium nib to a customer, and I said, yeah, Leonardo mediums are pretty thick because I have two Leonardo mediums. One is very thick, the other is thinner. This one is thinner. And I said, yeah, Leonardo mediums are kind of a little bit broad. And then they tested it and they said, that's a bit thin. So it really just depends on each person's perspective as well, or their idea of what a medium should be for them. Okay, and then this one is Oh my gosh, this one is the most popular pen at Endless Pens. Mine doesn't have a lot of variations. Like, you can see the purple here at the tip here as the color changes. I don't think that my pen has that much variation, but it is a purple that I really like. But I was hoping that I'd see some pink in here. I don't see that much pink. The only pink I see is where it's very translucent, like right there. But even that is, that's gorgeous. I wish I had seen more of that throughout my pen, but it's okay because this is a gorgeous, gorgeous purple pen. And I've had another purple pen in the past, but this is more my purple. And lilac, lavenders, softer purples are more my thing, as well as this beautiful, like, deep purple. And this is the first rose gold trim among my collection. So if you can look closely, you can see the difference. Actually, let me put it next to this one. Same cap band. You can see the difference in the rose gold and the yellow gold. It is very subtle, but like the rose gold is a bit more bronzy, and the yellow gold is just more yellow. So I think that rose gold and this purple is a perfect, perfect choice. It is soft and subtle of a gold, contrasted by this deep, entrancing purple. Love, love, love this pen. There were a ton of these pens made because I think it just makes a ton of money for Endless, so they just keep making it. And it sells out every time, so yeah. If you've missed it, they will not come back anymore. But they did create just like a very limited amount of silver trims. But the silver trim comes in the 3 rings instead of this large ring. And so I thought that that was a really poor choice that they made, because the charm of this beautiful oh, I forgot to say the name. This is the Fioritura Viola, or Fioritura Viola, and I think that the large cap pen here is part of the whole charm of this pen. And so when they made it into the tiny 3 rings, I just thought it didn't look as pretty, but it is silver trim. So for those that love silver trim, it was, probably a really good decision for them. All right, this last Momento Zero. This last one is the only gold nib in my Momento Zeros, because I think that it's very, very affordable for steel Momento Zeros to be, collecting, because I love all the different colors, and so it's best to collect them in steel nibs, so they're much more affordable. Because the Momento Zeros, I think, are the probably the lowest, their lowest end until they just created a new model that is even cheaper than the Momento Zeros. So Momento Zeros range between 150 and 250. So it's 150 when there are on sale, and like this model is about 150. But exclusive models are between 199 and 250. But you can definitely find yourself paying on the lower end if you get discounts and shop around at the right places. So this one is Clarissa's from the Snowy Studio on Instagram. This is her dragon heart, and she created this for the Year of the Dragon, as well as representing strength and courage. And I am just so happy with this one because it has so much sparkles. I love Benu pens because they sparkle so much, but they don't write the way I love to write. I prefer Leonardo's, and the feel of Leonardo's in my hand a lot more than Benu pens. And so this one is giving me tons and tons of sparkles like a Benu would. I am very, very happy with that. And I like a pen when it's got a lot of contrasting bits, and so if this whole pen was just all red, I would not be too happy, but it's got lots of gold, black, swirls, and the red here is kind of like, it's not a deep red, it's almost pinky-ish. You can see like there's a bit of pink here. So this pen is very chaotic, very beautiful in that sense. So I am super, super happy with this one. Now, this is my very first gold number 6 in a Momento Zero. Like I said, I don't buy gold nibs much in a Momento Zero unless it's a very special pen. This one is absolutely special. Clara's my friend. She's just so amazing. I love her so much. She's a great person if you haven't met her in person yet. So this is a number 6, 14 karat gold Leonardo nib. The gold nibs from Leonardo are made in-house. The steel nibs are Yovo nibs, and that they stamped with their beautiful, beautiful logo there, which is the Leonardo wings with the sunbursts. So it is a La Fenice nib, which is Phoenix. So it represents Phoenix wings. It's such a beautiful, very, very lovely nib design. So I asked Clarissa what nib size she thinks is the best for like daily writing. She suggested extra fine. Now I was really happy that I went with that because the number 6 extra fine writes very wet, and so it's a lot broader than what I expected in an extra fine. And so my gold nib number 6 extra fine writes like a juicy fine, which I love. So it's very close to my steel elastic fines, so it's very, very nice. And oh my gosh, I just love writing with that one. Okay, so let's put these in order of my favorite. So I'm not going to count this one because it's the only radius I have. All right, so from left to right, number 1 to number 9. There we go. Did you expect that? So let me know down in the comments which one is your top 3 of my Leonardo Momento Zeros, if you were to have them, or if you do have these ones, which ones are your top 3. So yeah, the top 3 is definitely these 3. My Dragonheart by Clarissa, the Paraiso Maldives by Micah Fines and Taylor Pencombray, and then the Mackenzie Penworks and Micah Fines Persephone. These are my top 3. I love, love, love them so much. They are just absolutely amazing. I actually will say that these 2 are tied for 3rd place because I don't love one more than the other. I think that if this one had a ruthenium cap band that is big like this one would probably be ahead. But it is, basically these 2, I will say, tie for 3rd place, but this one has an edge over that one. Yeah, so that is the first half of my Leonardos. Next half are the bigger ones, or longer ones. And these are the very expensive ones. These 2, not so much. These are Momento Magicos, but I just put them in here, because I don't have space in the other one. So I don't have a lot of Magicos, and you will know why. And I do not have Furores as well because I prefer flat tops more, and these ones are they're not exactly flat tops, but they're a lot better, personally, aesthetically to me, than the Furores. And so I don't like the Furore because they are cigar shaped. So, and I don't have, and here's the one thing I will tell you guys in my experience with Leonardo pens, and this is not to say that Leonardo pens, or that you should stay away from these pens, or that Leonardo pen makes bad Magicos. What I am saying though is that the Magicos do not feel the same as a Momento Zero. So the Momento Magicos feel like resin, and it feels like, I can definitely think that it's plastic, right? Because resin acrylics are all plastic. The Momento Zeros are made of Italian acrylic, but they feel extremely like there's a luster to this finish that they make. It does not feel like acrylic. It does not feel like resin. It feels to me like actual marble that is light. Light marble, extremely luxurious. The Momento Zeros are lovely, lovely. Somehow, I don't know how Leonardo does it, but they're just amazing. The Momento Magicos, to me, they're much lighter pens, and the body, the finish of it doesn't feel as nice. And I'm wondering if that is the case because they have to use an ink window, and ink windows are resin. I don't know if acrylics can be turned into ink windows, but something about the Magicos in the Leonardo line, they do not feel as luxurious to me. But they are still great writers. There's nothing wrong with them. So the Momento Magicos are a little bit bulbous here in the center because they are internal piston fillers, but they're very, very skinny, and so that's why it's more bulbous compared to the other internal filler pens down here. All right, so let's just talk about this one since I have it in my hand. This is the Smeraldo, or emerald green, and the camera is showing it a very blue. If I'm looking at the camera, it's very blue, but in my hands, this Smeraldo is very green. There's a test that one of my friend Neil gave me, and it's about what is your blue and what is your green. So it shows you pictures of a blue-green square, and you have to say, is this green or is this blue? And so turquoise, teals, blue, greens, they're very, very a mysterious color when they're mixed together. And someone might think that this is blue. I think this is green. I do think that this Smeraldo kind of sits right in the middle of blue and green. And so it's really hard for cameras to capture the difference between blues and greens. Okay, so these ones, again, come with an ink window, which I think is interesting. It's nice. It's not, to me personally, I don't really care too much for it, because, it doesn't look as nice as my Aurora's ink window plus the threads. But that's a comparison I should not be making. And then the cap here is also different from a Momento Zero. So you can see the cap on Momento Zeros are almost like there's like no step. It's the tiniest step up. But for the Magicos, you can feel the step. So the Magico feels like the Radius Settimo's finish. There's a big step on each. Yeah. So I prefer the Momento Zeros because it's so flush and clean. The Momento Magicos and the Radius kind of have this you can feel it. So that's just a personal tactile experience for me. If this doesn't bother you, then Magicos are fine. There's nothing wrong with Magicos. All right, this one is a Muze Pens exclusive. So Muze Pens, my friends in Hong Kong, they have their own physical brick and mortar shop there, and they came over to the San Francisco Pen Show this year, and I bought a pen from them. This is my very first pen. I believe this is my first. Oh, I don't remember if I bought this one first or the Taiwan exclusive pen, but either way, they are a green fountain pen shop, and I am all green. So this one, when I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this green part. I love the pastel greens and the lighter yellow greens. This pen is so amazing. And at that time, I still am not a fan of like these clear parts. Like it doesn't look three-dimensional to me. It looks very flat. To some people, a clear resin is three-dimensional, but I think that if the colored resin works really well with that clear resin, then yes, it does look three-dimensional. But this, to me, is a little bit like flat. I don't like it, but that's just a small part of this pen. This is my favorite part of the pen. Like their Muze symbol, their logo there, right over the best green in this pen. is my favorite. So I get number 63 out of 100. It is silver trim, so that is the one thing that I am sad about. A rose gold trim would have been very interesting in this. Like, not the best choice, but I probably would have preferred that a lot more. Just for me. Yeah, so this was exclusive to them, but now this resin, I think, is made by Bob Dupress. Either him or Mackenzie, one of the two. I'll put it up here just to confirm it. But this one is called Foliage, and it was exclusive to Muse pens first, and now it is Leonardo's using it again on other pens. Next up are my Momento Zero Grandes. I don't have a lot of Grandes, but they are very comfortable to use, unposted, and they're very large. So if you like girthier pens, because girthier pens tend to be a little bit more comfortable for most people. So this one is called Copper Patina, or Revival, and this is Micah Fines again on Endless Pens. She creates a lot of these Leonardo Momento Zero pens, and I really, really wish that I could have made one with them, but I have to come up with a very, very unique idea. Otherwise, it's really hard to create a Leonardo pen through Endless Pens, because Micah does a lot of them. But Endless Pens is hosting and creating this Hatch program thing. I'm not even sure exactly what it's going to be, but there is a Hatch giveaway, 3 winners for $750 worth of prizes. So go check out Endless Pens Instagram and sign up for their newsletter and share your email with the Hatch program and enter that giveaway. It's a lot of money worth of pens. So this again is Copper Patina. It is very, very beautiful. It is supposed to resemble peacocks, and I'm not sure if it's Phoenix, but Revival makes me think of Phoenix. So yeah, this is supposed to symbolize peacocks, and I think they did a great job. This cap here does look like a peacock feather, and the blue parts here are translucent. Translucent I love when it's a color. If it's white, I don't. Or not white. If it's clear, I don't really care for it. This pen was a broad steel nib, and I think that's my biggest mistake, is because I don't really like broad nibs. This pen wrote extremely broad, and I turned it into a very interesting nib. This is the Naginata Togi. It's very sharp at the end, and it writes kind of like an architect type, and the higher your angle, the thinner the nib size. So I have not played with this one as much, but I really should, because it's so gorgeous. Look at that cap. Like, it's amazing. This is, yeah, it's a very, very lovely resin. It's so unique. I think it's very similar to the Ocean Cenote resin by Bob Dupress. Very, very nice. Okay, this next one is my very first Mother of Pearl. I was obsessed with Mother of Pearl when I first got into Leonardo's. Like, I saw somebody, I think it's Aidan Bernal, he wrote with his Mother of Pearl, and I was like, what is that pen? What is it? And I saw the cap band, and I was like, that's a Leonardo pen. It has to be. And I looked it up, and it was the Mother of Pearl. I needed to have one, and I desperately looked for them, and I found one. This is one, Chatterley Luxuries. Now, this is very interesting because this one has a domed top. My other Leonardo Momento Zero Grande Mother of Pearl has the conical shaped top. So I am very, very curious to know why this is a batch of 20. The very last batch of Mother of Pearls that they made, and why they made the decision to make it a domed top, which I don't mind. I love this dome top because it's actually closer to a flat top. But the Mother of Pearl is green. So I think what happens is that what I thought was black is actually a very, very dark green. And so when he mixed the white with the dark green, you can see that the white and dark green created this lighter green. portion. And so mother of pearl is green, and abalone is black. So abalone is less green than the mother of pearl. So yes, this is mother of pearl Momento Zero Grande. I got from Chatterley Luxuries for a price that I was like, amazing. This is amazing for a 14 karat gold nib. And it was between a medium or a stub nib, and I got a stub nib because the medium sold out by the time I made my decision. And I'm okay with that because I don't use stubs that much, and this 1.1 stub is very nice. It is a little bit feedbacky, and this stub actually has some, it has a little bit of tipping material on it. The new stubs now by Leonardo do not have a tipping material. I learned that as I was speaking with some of the customers at the Leonardo table in San Francisco. Very interesting changes that Leonardo has gone through, but I like the tipping material on my stub. It's a bit feedbacky, and I like that. It's not as smooth. Also, one thing about the internal piston fillers from Leonardo is that when you use the internal, the knob at the end, it has a bit of a tactile feel to it. Like, it's not smooth like a Pelican's piston. So I thought that was a defect of the pen, but a lot of the internal piston fillers felt that way. Like, you can see as you can feel as you're turning the knob that there's some notches that are clicking. It's not a loud click at all, but you can feel it as you're turning it. And oh my god, that pen looks so good in the light. I love it. But it's interesting. If you like a smooth piston and you think that if a piston isn't feeling smooth, that it's bad, then you might not like the tactile feel of the Leonardo piston fillers. They work perfectly fine. What I will say that I don't like about Leonardo piston fillers are that it does take a long time for it to go from the top to bottom. I probably have to twist and turn this like 10 times, like 10 twists. It's probably like 5 total rotations, but it takes a long time, and so it's hard to clean. It takes a long time to clean, and if you have like arthritis or it's hard on your fingers, then cleaning an internal piston filler is going to be very difficult on a Leonardo, as compared to, say, like a Pelican. They take like 2 to 3 full rotations, and you're done with the piston. But that's not a huge con. It is something to consider when you think about Leonardo pistons. Okay, enough talking about that. Let's talk about this beauty. What is this pen? Oh my gosh. This one is so gorgeous. I'm so excited about it. Okay, at first I was not entirely happy with this pen. I'm just gonna be honest. I was underwhelmed by it because it was not sparkly and shiny like Clarissa's dragon skin pen. Now this is the Ivory Juma dragon skin pen, or dragon scale. It is very rare, and Leonardo only has like 2 or 3 of each of these designs, and this is the one that I really wanted among the 6 colors that they offered. This is ivory, and it is a very subtle beauty. So you can see that these scales here are chatoyant, and then there is a part of the body that is like very opaque, and there's nothing going on. And then if you turn it, that is chatoyant again. See that? The chatoyance comes through with the scales, and then there's another chatoyance there, and then it goes to nothing, or like darkness. I love this, the way this pen plays with the light. It's so gorgeous. And I even appreciate the milky opaqueness of this section that has no chatoyance. It is supposed to mimic and resemble dragon scales, and I think it's super beautiful. So this, I had asked Clarissa for if I should get an extra fine or fine. I got this in an extra fine, and it is a number 8 gold nib. It's a gigantic nib. So if we compare the number 6 nib to the number 8, you can see there's a big difference. Yeah. So the numbers represent the millimeters of the diameter of the nib. So if you look at the, the right there, the diameter is thicker on the number 8. And because of that, the nib itself is larger. And so I thought that because it is a larger nib, that it would write softer. But actually, I mean, I have limited experience, so I can only say from what I know and have experience. But again, this is also an extra fine, so that doesn't really help with this nib being softer. It writes drier than the number 6 gold nib. These two are extra fines. When the writing sample, you will see the number 8 nib is a hair thinner and drier than the number 6. So taking that into consideration, I think that the number 8 fine nib would be my preferred nib size. And so if you like some, the nib size that I like, then I would say that when you go for a Leonardo number 8 nib, fine would be it for you, because extra fine to me writes very thin. It almost feels like an ultra extra fine. This one does come with a gold trim, and I think that's fine. Rose gold would be very beautiful too, but I love this ivory body. It's just absolutely beautiful. And then here is my newest beauty from Muze Pens at the San Francisco Pen Show. And it is another mother of pearl. This is my second mother of pearl, and I love the chaos of the swirls in this pen, and then obviously the white parts and has some green in it. And I also really love that this one has a lot of white rather than more black or dark green. So and also you can see the purple so much more easily too, just popping out through the light. So yeah, this is a elastic fine, 14 karat, and the elastic gold nibs are actually very soft and flexible, but I wouldn't push them too much because they're not like flex nibs, they're just elastic. But because it's a gold nib, they're softer in that sense, and so I am able to create line variations with a 14 karat elastic Leonardo nib, just like I could on a Pilot Falcon nib. But the Pilot Falcons, I will say, are much softer and smoother than the Leonardo's 14K elastic fine. But they're just different feels. They still both write really well. And again, the quality of Leonardo Momento Zeros and Grandes are just absolutely amazing. So divine. Like I said, the cap and the barrel, there's not much of a step up here at all. It's just almost seamless, and it's just very smooth to the touch as I'm going up and down, as opposed to, say, the Magicos, where you get stopped right there. and you can feel it. It's just not nice. Again, that's just a personal tactile preference of mine. Next up, so I have 4 Momento Zero Grandes. This one is a Supernova. I don't have a lot of Supernovas because they're expensive, and they don't really come out too often in terms of special editions. I don't really care for the regular Supernovas, mainly because the shape of the Supernova is really different and interesting. It's not my favorite, but the Bohemian Twilight resin is absolutely bonkers. It's amazing. Did I just use that word? What is that word anyways? So this has more orange than I wanted to, but I've learned to appreciate orange resins, orange inks over the years, and I am very happy with how this one looks. So my favorite, obviously, is where all the colors kind of mix together right there. when I was in San Francisco, I saw how gorgeous the Bohemian Twilight resin can be when when it's done correctly, or like when it's done really well and the light hits it. You can see so much depth in the Bohemian Twilight resin, but mine I think is a little bit more flat. It's less 3D than what the Bohemian Twilight actually can be. It's amazing. If you have Bohemian Twilight, you know how beautiful it is, and you know the potential of that resin. But just look at that. The turquoise and the orange, the deep blue and purple. This is such an amazing resin. I was thinking about selling this pen at one point because I needed money. But now that I am in okay financially, I haven't sold this one yet, which means that people aren't willing to buy this pen at the price that I'm putting it up for, which I think is pretty fair. But no one has bought this, so I think it's fine, and it's meant to be because it should still stay in my collection. This is my only Bohemian Twilight. I do love it, and so I should keep it. Like, it does have an elastic extra fine, which is my only elastic extra fine gold nib. It's extremely soft and very, very wet writing because it's a number 6 nib. It's a very elastic nib, so it will put out tons of ink. All right. And then this last one, I'm not too happy with this one. I don't really consider it as part of my collection. I have been trying to sell this one, but it is the only art collection Guilloche pen from the Leonardo line. It is one of the new pens that came out last year, and this is a number 6. When I tried selling this, people only wanted the number 8 nib. So I have this on the number 6 fine 14 karat gold nib. It is a gusher. It's way too wet for my personal preference. No matter what ink I put in here, if it's a dry ink, a wet ink, an average flowing ink, this pen writes like a fire hose, and I am not happy with that. Of course, I can like tune it to restrict the nib flow, or the ink flow, I suppose. But personally, I don't really care too much for this all red pen. And I think I got it at the time because of the hype of this pen being a new Art Nouveau pen, and so I now know that it's not my style. The guilloche patterns here, it's a nice textile feel, but it's not the best textile feel for me. I know that there's Leonardo's coming up with a ton of different textured pens, which are very, very lovely and interesting. So one of my friend Ben Kemper bought one recently at the San Francisco Pen Show, and I think he scored a really beautiful black guilloche pen. And I told him that if I loved black pens, that would be the one I'd get. And I think he'll love his pen a lot. The pen itself, this is made of ebonite, and yeah, I think that's definitely the main attraction of this pen, is that it's made of ebonite. It does feel very different from the acrylic pens. But yeah, it's a little bit thicker than the Momento Zeros and the Grandes, so it's got a weird shape to me, and I'm not terribly a big fan of it. So I will just rank these 5 pens for now. I'm gonna rank in terms of just my favorite in terms of aesthetics, as well as how often I use them. So let's see. Okay, I have not used my dragon skin pen as much, and I don't think I will use it as much either because it is an extra fine. I need to find an ink that is extremely lubricated and very, very wet for the writing experience to be a little smoother, and for the nib to write a little bit broader. But for now, my mother of pearl elastic fine, mother of pearl 1.1 stub, the ivory dragon Juma extra fine, and then the elastic extra fine Bohemian Twilight Supernova. And the last one is my Momento Zero Grande Copper Patina with the Naginacha nib. So that is my order of my favorite grandes. So these would be the top three. I mean, it seems to me like I like the lighter pens with color. But in terms of Momento Zeros, I love colorful things. I don't have a lot of like the neutral colors except for this one. So yes, that is all of my Leonardo collection. So I want to thank you for coming with me to take a look at all of my Leonardo pens. I love them all so much. If you love Leonardo's too, let me know down in the comments, because I love talking Leonardo and would love to, know your thoughts on them and whether you like a specific model over the other, if you share or have differing thoughts with what I mentioned earlier about the Magicos versus the Momento Zeros, or if you have Furores and you love them and you can tell me that I should get some. But yeah, this is my collection. It will continue to grow. If you reached this part of the video, I will include a very, very short clip of looking at the different nib sizes, just so that you have an understanding of how Leonardo's write and how thick the line widths are, so that you get an understanding of what you would like. And I will also include like maybe a Kaweco or Lamy that you can compare these lines with, so that it's not just, if Leonardo is your first pen, it wouldn't make sense to just see their lines. It would be much more convenient or much more helpful to compare it with other pens that are more readily, in people's collections. But yes, let's take a look at the nib line widths. So here is the writing portion of my video to show the writing line differences of each nib. So I just want to preface this that not every single pen is inked up with the same ink, but the ones that are not inked up, I have dipped them in Leonardo blue. So now if we are to compare that, you can see that the 14K number 8 extra fine writes very thin. It's even thinner than the steel elastic extra fine. It might be very close to a steel regular extra fine, but the 14K number 6 extra fine writes like a steel fine. And then the 14K number 6 elastic extra fine, that one gives you tons of line variations. I think more than the elastic fine can create, but it's also extremely wet. It writes as thick as the 14K extra fine as well. In terms of comparing it to a steel nib, the extra fine, elastic extra fine is broader than the steel elastic extra fine. And then the 14K fine compared with the steel fines are about the same, I would say, but it's just much wetter. Three times wetter, yeah, 3 times wetter. And then the gold elastic fine compared to the steel elastic fine, they're roughly the same, with the gold nib being able to flex better. All right, so that is what I have in terms of line widths. They're like, I only have fine, mediums, and extra fine. So for those of you who like broad, a Leonardo broad is very broad. It will probably be around the same as this stub, 1.1 stub here. And then obviously double broad is going to write like a stub, but a little bit broader than this one. So if you have any questions about the Leonardo line widths here, I'm just going to put it down here, and you guys can pause and take a screenshot if you would like. That way you know exactly how these lines are, and you can make a good decision on a pen if you buy online. But it's, obviously the best if you can test it out in person, so you know exactly how how it writes to your personal handwriting, because everyone's hands do write with different pressures, and so that's really up to each and every individual person. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for joining me in looking through my Leonardo collection. I hope you had a fun time with me and that you learned a little bit more about Leonardo. Remember to like, comment down below, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!